Today I'm going to be talking to you about collaboration and what this means to my practice. And before I get started on that, I want to give you some insight on personal experiences that inform this, which perhaps may resonate with you. I moved to Los Angeles 2 years ago, and this happened in the midst of a 3-year period of turmoil in my life. It was as if the floorboards of existence were shifting and creaking beneath me. Unseen turbulent forces charged and furiously defeated me. A form of psychological exhaustion, anxiety, apathy, and depression took hold. The growing sense of separatism and conservatism in political climates, our disregard for nature, for my own inner struggle of maintaining the effort needed to function, excel, and constantly be inspired. I scratched the surface of the night, and the void swallowed me. During this dark night of the soul, part of me died. I put energy into healing, at self-analyzation, shadow integration, meditating, using affirmations, and forcing myself into situations that would higher my vibrations. Last year, after a project in Moscow, I found myself on a raw island beach. Here I had a psychedelic experience of Terence McKenna proportions. It was not my intention to dig so deep, but after a few minutes I knew I was in for a monumental journey. And it floored me completely. I was empty again. There was nothing left. And to be in the infinite cosmos with no control, the only way to move through this was to ultimately surrender. And gradually I began to find power deep within. I channeled into a source of wisdom and strength available to us all, buried deep in the earth of our consciousness. Time seemed to stand still as my entire life scanned before me. Childhood, the absence of my father, my incredible mother, magical moments walking dusty pathways, the awkwardness of school, the frustration of mistakes, lovers, the death of Chris, the birth of my son, the rape of friends, dangerous adventures in grimy cities, the depth of friendship, and my reactions within all of this. I studied this in great detail, allowing it to pass through me. And finally, I found myself on a kind of mountaintop. I gained a perspective and view of my life with a sense of maturity that I had not had before. This experience acted as a culmination of what I had been processing in the prior years. One of the visions that appeared to me on this journey was the vibrational frequency of atoms. And this vision is in layers. The first being the reverberation pattern that we know on a molecular level as reality. And looking more deeply, one starts to see energy points and centers of being with electrical threads interacting with each other, an infinite connectivity comprised of organic circuits, a grand and magnificent web. These light points began to represent people that I have known, the energetic charges between us. There is such a mass of human beings, like grains of sand, and within our lives there are many of these strong connections. But when you really consider it, in fact, there are fewer than we think. They can be people you know well, and at times you'll never meet, but you know through their actions and words, mentors and beacons of light. And from this experience, I realized on a really core level the incredible importance of others. That certain people in my life have given my life depth and meaning. This simple truth, however, it's a simple truth. However, the gratitude I felt shifted something inside of me. So coming back to how this relates to collaboration, in the beginning, I painted a lot with others. There was a sense of camaraderie, of finding identity and community. But after some time, I needed to break away and find my own language, to explore textures, environments, thematics, and aesthetic. I worked independently for several years. I juggled years of intensive traveling with raising a child and developing my career and studio practice. And finally, I became exhausted. And part of my personal healing process has been to expand and redefine my practice. And very importantly, we should avoid those that negatively affect and drain our energy. We should be aware of those to whom we feel a resonation. Entering into collaborations with key people in my life has helped me to rediscover my root inspirations. I see my artistic path as an integral part of my spiritual journey. And the people I have collaborated with have been mirrors and teachers. We are not islands. We should not underestimate the influence that we have on each other. These people help us to get out of our comfort zones and find new perspectives. And we need to bring substance and meaning into our craft. It is in the actual process of making the work where we find real value. And this is indeed a form of alchemy. So there is like a very long list of people I would love to speak about today, but I've had to narrow it down. The first person I wanted to mention was Dane Dodds. Dane, in fact, came to work for me as a studio assistant, but in the end, he landed up being a wise teacher. We studied death. He documented my landfill meditation series, through which I was exploring our relationship to the trash that we discard, using the broken down car as a symbol of progress and productivity, as a metaphor for shadow integration. The project that was most transformative of ours was Acro Regalia. It's a short film that we made together in Hong Kong. And using my words as the base structure, we explored an abandoned apartment block where I created a shrine from forgotten items left inside. Lottery tickets, school certificates, wedding photographs, x-rays, ultimately linking these items as a form of visual language, visual poetry back into the individuals in the city and their lives, connecting the mundane and holy to the random and sublime. Dane brings to me the salt of the earth, the power of herbal tinctures, and a uniquely insightful understanding of the complex racial, social dynamics of our country, which is in desperate need of healing. Simone Rademeyer. Well, apart from being a deep love of my life, I brought Simone to work with me on a triptych immersive video screen installation with visuals systematically corresponding, interrelating, and separating. We explored the concept of dust within an abandoned space in Lexington and a grand skeleton of a church in Detroit. We spoke in black and white, allowing form to take precedence over color. Simone saw me. She reminds me not to subscribe, to see vulnerability as a strength, fragility as a powerful tool for understanding, to be critical of the status quo, and fearless in the honesty that I have with myself. Emraan Christian. Emraan had taken some potent documentation of the Fees Must Fall protests in Cape Town 2015. I deconstructed 3 of his images, and we chose the one with the students and the police clashing to install as a public installation on a wall in Stellenbosch, which we know as a significantly historical student town in dire need of reform. Thereafter, we were invited to Munich to install a large 3 by 10 meter installation of that same image. Working with Emraan is power. I made a loyal and passionate friend for life. His political perspective merges in such a way with his spiritual leanings that it creates a kind of subcultural revolutionary cocktail. He instills in me the responsibility of mentoring the younger generations and to never forget my roots. Lyle Sprung. So I've worked with Lyle on several projects, and I'm going to mention 3. Our first project, Harvest, kindly supported by Ravi Naidu, was an attempt to bring the 2-dimensional mural into a real-world relationship with the city that it lives in. We incorporated lighting into the geometric pattern of the artwork and ran a campaign. The mural lit up whenever money was donated for the construction of streetlights in Manwa, BC, Khayelitsha. This experimental project was intended to connect two otherwise disparate areas of the city. The second project is Astronomia Nova. Here we're working with magical realism. And for this, we built a hologram of the moon floating amongst trees in the dark forest of Sweden, walking people into the forest at nighttime in small groups to witness this rotating orb, to connect to the ancient timekeeper of our planet, to pay homage to the natural rhythms and cycles that affect us. And a third project was the Golden Middle last year. It's a light installation that we created for the Atmosphere Biennale in Moscow. The work was intended to show the disparity between our visceral reality and our virtual reality of our phones and technology. The installation through the naked eye is white, but when photographed, it appears in spectrums of RGB. Lyle has taught me about the meditative value of attention to detail, about the incorporation of philosophy in object making. Lyle ignites within me the sanctity of thought, not merely the intellectual craving for knowledge, but subtler wisdoms of intuitively understanding and really experiencing learning. And Inka Kenzia, my queen, is a true friend, bringing insight into every situation, working from the heart, deeply thoughtful, as well as incredibly technically savvy. We have also worked on several projects together. One of my favorite was Mysterium Tremendum, in which we contemplate the expansive universal mysteries within. For this, we bravely created a hologram using the Pepper's Ghost technique in Art Basel, Miami. And yeah, together, Inka and I, we explore the divine feminine. We create work because we both feel deeply the weight of human destiny. And through our collaborations, we aim to ignite contemplation and healing. 2 years ago, Inka and I created this performance piece called Aurum. And it had its first debut in Berlin with the incredible Mante Rabbani. This work contemplates hard universal issues which are unique and potent within one's direct community, but are in fact part of much larger shifts in the structure of global politics and the relationship to our home, planet Earth. This week we've been working with Pure, who has embodied and added her own voice to Aurum. And we're very, very happy to bring this to home soil. Thank you all so much. I want to thank Inka for your endless dedication, and to Design Indaba for inviting me back. It's been great working with them over the years. And I wanted to thank Zane, Tyler, and my mother, who are all here today. And yeah, we're just really honored to bring this collaboration to Cape Town. And I want a special thank you to Pure, who has taken this on and is carrying the torch of this message home.